Well, hi guys. I'm Dachi. I'm your secretary. Today is our second meeting for GDC this semester. Our first one was online, unfortunately, but now we have a room, so congratulations to us. Today we're going to be talking about the goals of a game pitch and what an MVP is. So to start with, we have some announcements to make. Here's the sign-in form for today's meeting. Usually it comes before. Oh, I should sign in too, right?
Don't mind if I do.
Good luck connecting, everyone.
Take a picture, I guess.
We also will send out a link on Discord
Afterwards.
If you can get on Discord.
Just do it tonight.
at some point today.
At some point
Hopefully
today.
whenever EDU Rome comes back online. Surely it'll come back online today.
Wow.
They are sabotaging.
This building is a dead zone.
Yeah.
I can't log in. I'm hoping the slides don't get shot halfway through, huh? All right. Well, I suppose moving on from our internet issues, help support the club. You can support our club today by becoming a VIP member. It's $15 per semester or $25 for the year. Becoming a member gets you discounts on club merchandise and priority for events such as studio tours. So some of the things you can get for merchandise are t-shirts, bucket hats, keychains, pins, Des emote, sticker sheets if you can see that. That's our mascot if you're not acquainted yet. So throughout the year we'll be showing some things off. Here's the VIP membership form if you're interested. Take a picture or something. It'll be posted afterwards either way. If the internet connected, it would be great. So we have a guest speaker coming eventually. It's going to be a virtual meet and greet with MobilityWare's recruiting team. You'll get to learn about the industry recruiting practices, experiences, and additional information. It'll be on September 17th during a general meeting, and I believe it's going to be held on Zoom. And the question form for the person that's coming to see us will be open until September 15th. I believe Aiden told me that if you submit at least a question, you're going to get a spot on the monthly raffle we do. Also, there's a AWS Youth Tech Bootcamp. We're partnering up with SheCodes, Data Science and AI, and I think that's the Computer Science Society, to host the AWS Youth Tech Bootcamp. It's going to be a 2-day workshop focusing on cloud services, and I wish I knew what these acronyms meant. I apologize. I didn't set up these slides. It'll be from September 13th to 14th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The sign-up form is open until September 5th, which is
A couple days for now.
2 days. So this week's workshop will be on Friday. It'll be on Unity. It's going to be an extremely beginner-friendly workshop, even if you never touched a game engine or programming language in your life. If you're interested, please come by. It's going to be in Building 6, Room 204, which is that way across the quad. Derogatory.
Yeah, we did that.
Aiden probably did that. He loves Unreal. So, number 2, we're going to be talking about some of our club goals. So, what is game design? Game design encompasses all aspects that go into development of a game. That is programming, art, music, sound effects, writing, gameplay, and everything else that goes into it. And these will be what we focus on during this club based on what you're interested in doing. So we don't need to explain it too much, but programming, it's related to the game engine, what language you're going to use, what mechanics you're going to make, what gameplay features, how you're going to prepare your UI. Art direction, character design, backgrounds, props, concept art, so on. This is great for helping you actually create your assets. Music and sound effects often bring a lot of atmosphere to the game and really help solidify certain moments. So it'll be related to your soundtrack, sound effects, Foley sounds. If you're unaware, that's how they make the little interaction sounds for video games or even movies and TV. And ambience music, because you don't want to be standing there in silence, do you? And you can see I had control over this slide. Writing is important to a lot of video games as well, because it's about the story, it's about the dialogue, it's about the lore. Dark Souls lore, and world building, which again usually tends to make or break what is a good game and what is a bad game, even though that's subjective. So, our club goals are to teach our members how to become well-rounded game designers by teaching them how to understand each aspect that goes into game development, so the members can appreciate the work that comes into making the game, and from that learn how to make our own. So we achieve these goals, like as mentioned, we host workshops that go into different aspects of game designs. For example, this week we're going to have a programming Unity workshop, so you'll learn how to use that. I think next week is a Godot workshop, which is another game engine. But we'll also have other workshop related to art, music, or writing. So like I said, our next few workshops will be on game engines and workflow. And most importantly, the game pitches are a great way to get some hands-on experience on how to start making a game, because by the end of the semester, each game pitch will need to present a minimum viable product. So, what is an MVP? As it says on the slide, a minimum viable product is just a version of a product with just enough features to be usable by early customers who can provide feedback for future product development. It's a basic version of the game with just the key gameplay features needed to gain interest in the development, meaning it's not like a fully fleshed out build or like in beta or something. This would be something in alpha. You don't have textures or something like that, just things that work. So here's a video, if we can get it to connect. What is a game pitch? So, this is basically how our club mainly runs. Every semester, members are welcome to pitch ideas for video games that they would like to develop for the club. This isn't limited to like a bunch of people pitch in, then we all vote on it, work as a club, but rather several people can be project leaders for their own game pitch. So, after these pitches are presented, members will be able to join these teams based on these ideas. There's, again, no requirement, just that the people who pitch the game will tell you what they need, and if you're interested in fulfilling those roles, you may join. So, by the end of the semester, at our club banquet, these teams will present their minimum viable products as well as their development process to see how it went throughout the semester. We are not expecting a fully polished game by the end of the semester because, let's be honest, a lot of us struggle to create a game, not even a full game, but like a half game or even less than that by the end of the semester, and that's completely okay. It's no big deal if you can't finish what you need by the end. I'm a prime example of this. Last semester, I pitched a great game idea, which I'm repitching this time, by the way.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. It's coming up in the example later, dude. I did my best to lead it, but not as best as I thought I would, so I was a bit disappointed about that, but I still had some things to show by then, even if we didn't have a minimum viable product. So, again, you can still participate in the banquet. You could still show up. You could look at other people's games. You could show what you did, even if you don't have a playable demo. After all, your personal life, school, and work comes first. So, again, never feel pressure to put out not even a AAA game by the end of the semester, but, again, your minimum viable product. So, if you have an idea for a game, you could pitch it during our general meeting next week, I believe. Applications are open. This should be the QR code. If the internet works, you could scan it now and fill out the form, or later when it's posted. The deadline is, I believe, this Thursday, so get pitching if you're interested in making something. And again, prior to the game pitch meeting, the board and the officers will come seek out whoever pitched and do kind of like a small interview-ish on, whether or not what you're doing for your pitch in terms of like, hey, are you having feature creep, or do you know what you're actually cutting down on just for your MVP?
Don't forget that we're going to be interviewing. We'll be interviewing everybody who does.
That's what I mentioned.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
All right.
You could rewrite it. You want to say it again?
Sure. Just make sure, like, even on Thursday, if you're not fully set on what you want to make, you'll have a couple, like, maybe a day or two to really refine it before the officers come to interview you to see, okay, have you, figured out your game. So, like, don't be too worried if by Thursday, by the deadline, you're not, like, really keen on exactly what you're doing, but if you have a good idea and you're still working it out, make sure you still go ahead and put the application in.
In case you're wondering, again, you could submit the form and then get your slides ready in time for next week. So it's not like you need to put together a bunch of slides or something like that by Thursday. Though, well, everyone does slides, but I don't think you need to if you know off the top of the dome what to say, but regardless. So in a game pitch, you want to have the name of your game, what genre it is, a 2-sentence pitch for your game, so your idea, a full summary of your game, and the game features that will be included in your MVP. And here's a great example of a game pitch from the previous semester.
Absolutely agree.
Where did it go? This was my pitch. I called the game Heathen. It's going to be a 2D Souls-like. This is a light version of this slide, so there's going to be a different version next week. I have to cut out a bunch of jokes. So, what's the idea of this game? It's going to be a 2D side-scroller Souls-like. It's going to have structure and posture bars. It's going to have parrying, dodging, and it's going to be like a difficult game to play, but it's going to be overall rewarding. Hey, let's see. Lore-wise, it's going to be something like here. I didn't have a clear idea. Lore-wise, it's going to be something about maybe a knight disgraced, turned into a vagabond, maybe in a war-torn fantasy setting. It's going to be like, oh, is he a sole survivor, or was he betrayed by his kin? And anything else that sounds cool. So here would be some concept sketches or art that I've done to really get people excited for joining the game pitch. So it was like, oh, here's me drawing my homework for this guy, and then here's the actual concept art for maybe what will be the main character. Here's the inspiration for this game. So a bunch of elements are Prince of Persia, primarily inspired by Blasphemous because it's 2D. The whole pairing stuff comes from Sifu and Sekiro. I love that image, and it's going to be Dark Souls inspired. Can you guys tell that I love Dark Souls? So it's like, oh, how will this game be made? We're going to be using Godot. We might use Aseprite because it's 2D, so we can actually make our sprites. GitHub for version control, and Blender if you want to try something a little bit more special. Basically, you want to talk about what tools you want to use for this game pitch. And then you say, hey, here's what my minimum viable product would look like. I want to have at least a playable character, maybe a combat and a peace state that's going on, maybe 1 or 2 regular enemy types so you can actually have something to hit. Here, this is reaching more into stretch goals, but a boss fight with several health bars, the way I was envisioning it was like, oh, he just stands still and he takes it just to see, does this thing work or not? Then something like basic platforming, and then basic fundamentals like death, respawning, and a score loss mechanic where enemies respawn. And then here's stretch goals and these are something you might be interested in doing after you finish your MVP. So if you get your MVP out and you're like, hey, I have a bunch of time to keep working on it, by all means, you could do, for example, for me, my stretch goals were like, hey, we could actually finish the boss fight that we would show a concept of. We could have music included, sound effects, interactable NPCs, consumables, cutscenes, etc. And then you want to tell, hey, this is the dev team I may need. So for the MVP, I want to have maybe 2D artists and animators to do pixel art or do more concept art. I want to have programmers to do gameplay mechanics, enemy AI, proof of concept for boss AI, and audio engineers, at least for some basic sound so it's not entirely quiet for the MVP. And then stretch goals, I get to explain a little bit further. Like say, if we get to this point, I would like to have audio engineers to do refined sound effects, actual music, for musicians, as for the in-game score, programmers to finish this boss AI I'm interested in making, and like 2D artists and animators for say maybe a cool opening cinematic if we even get that far. And that was the example of my game pitch, pretty light. This is now the end of the meeting, so thank you for listening. Here's the check-in form if you are able to sign in now and you missed it at the beginning. And follow our Instagram if you're interested for usually just updates.